So you'll want to change that realization as well. Number 3 is that realize that when it comes to this world, mankind is insatiable. That mankind will never be satisfied. He can never be fulfilled no matter what he is given and what he has. And when you covet something from someone else, you're just feeding this appetite. The Prophet ﷺ said that if Bani Adam was given one valley of gold, he would cherish another one, and then he would cherish another one. And the only thing that would satisfy the son of Adam is turab. Now the scholars differed. What does this mean? Does this mean that until he dies, he's going to keep coveting other things? Or does this mean that it is only when he becomes content with, the absolute minimum that he will become content? So in trying to become content with the absolute minimum, is that when you will become content? The scholars actually differ on this point, and arguments can go either way. But the point is, you want to strive to be of that individual who is content with what he has. And this is the distinguishing characteristic of the believer as opposed to the non-believer. The believer, the Prophet ﷺ says, he eats with 1/7 of his intestine, whereas the disbeliever, he eats with with a complete 7th of his intestine, always filling it, always trying to fulfill his desire. Whereas the believer, he is content with what he has, and he tries to stay within his limits. And when an individual tries to stay within limits, that is when he has the ability to get closer to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Point number 4 is that when it comes to this dunya, try to be in the company of those below you. And when it comes to your akhirah, try to be in the company of those who are better than you. So in terms of this dunya, you want to be around those people who may not be as blessed as you. This should remind you of the favors and blessings of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, so that you may thank Him and get closer to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And when it comes to the people of the akhirah, you want to be around those people who are better than you, so that it reminds you that the akhirah is your everlasting abode. That is where you're destined. These people should remind you of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, so that you become a better individual. So when it comes to the dunya, be with those people who are less fortunate. When it comes to the akhirah, be with those people who are more righteous than you, so that you get the ultimate reminder. In this world, you are patient and grateful to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala for what He has given you, and for the akhirah, you're always trying to become that better individual. And the last point I want to mention is supplicating to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala for purifying our hearts. Sa'ad ibn Abi Waqqas radiallahu anhu, the famous companion of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, when he would go for tawaf in Mecca, he would be noticed to be making the same dua over and over again. He would be making dua to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, "Oh Allah, save my soul from greed." So one day a person came up to Sa'ad ibn Abi Waqqas and he said, "Why is this your most frequent supplication?" And he replied with something profound. He said, "When I safeguard myself from greed, I safeguard myself from greed, miserliness, and from severing the ties of relationship." I'll repeat that again. He said, "When I safeguard myself from greed, I safeguard myself from greed, miserliness, and from severing ties of kinship." Meaning that jealousy and envy, it leads an individual to becoming more greedy. It leads an individual to becoming more stingy. And likewise, it ruins the relationships that we have with other individuals. It ruins the relationships that we have with other individuals. So now if you recall, at the beginning of this webinar, we started off with the story of Fatima and Stephanie. And we asked, what could Fatima have done differently so that she could have remained good friends with her sister in Islam, Stephanie. And I hope that these points of benefit remind us of this, that we sabotage our own relationships, not only with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, but with the people around us when we choose not to purify our hearts. So in conclusion, I would like to make dua to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala through His noble names and attributes, that He purifies our hearts from all of the diseases that lie therein, and that He makes us of those individuals who show up on the Day of Judgment with a qalb that is salim. وآخر دعوانا أن الحمد لله رب العالمين وصلى الله وسلم وبارك على نبينا محمد وعلى آله وصحبه أجمعين. جزاكم الله خيرا for your attention. Anything good that I have said is from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and all praise is due to Him, and anything wrong or negative was from myself and from shaitan, and we ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to forgive us for our shortcomings.